Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, and let me tell you, this is gonna be a happy video because even if it's just by one goal, we won in Le Havre. We are 4 points clear at the top of Ligue 1, and overall, honestly, that game felt so much better than what we saw against Monaco. It looked like players who actually really wanted to get the result, who wanted to be on the pitch and wanted to give them all. And I think, not everything was perfect. We're going to be talking about finishing. We're going to be talking about penalties. But on balance, honestly, this is... I don't expect perfection, but I expect this kind of game as a baseline. So let's dive into it. But yeah, happy days. 1-0 in Le Havre. So I know a lot of people are saying, I've seen it, I've heard it, like this PSG team, it's really not the level that they should be at. It's only 1-0 in Le Havre. It's really not so good. And to some extent, I do understand, I do agree with some of it. Yes, we should be better in terms of finishing. Yes, we should score more goals. Yes, we should like be thinking the penalties that we get. But yesterday in Le Havre, we get, I think, overall like above 4 xg. So we dominate the game, we control the game, we score one goal, and we get a clean sheet. It's a 1-0 win. Of course, I would prefer if it were a 4-0 win or a 5-0 win. But this season, where everything is hard, and we've said it before, everything is going to be hard this season, a win is a win. Perfectly fine with this. 1-0. I would have loved to see more goals, but I'm very happy with 1-0. I'm very happy with having a little bit of a cushion on top of Ligue 1. Very happy with having a bit of gaps with Lens. It's gonna be hard to the end, and so it's important to be able to win those games that are tricky to navigate. The games 3 days after a Champions League game. It's never an easy one to navigate. Away in a team like Le Havre, it's never an easy one to navigate. So, ultimately, like, I'm perfectly happy with this. And I think, there's two things, which is that in terms of mentality, I'm not one of the people who say that that PSG team is trying hard enough this season. I'm not one of the people who say like, oh, the players now like they're satisfied with what they've got and they're not really as hungry as they were. Like I absolutely do not agree with this. But I think it's true that there are games where they display more appetite than others. And I think, like simply put, like this Le Havre game, it felt like really the team came in really wanting to get the win and really wanting to get a result, and with like clear ambition in terms of mentality and in terms of game. And I think it makes a huge difference. Simply put, like, I think it makes a huge difference. This is exactly like we cannot expect this team to be like as good as it can be physically. We cannot expect it to be like as dominant as it was tactically. We cannot expect them to be always at 110% technically. But I think in terms of mentality, this should be the benchmark that we display for every game. And I think it's nice to see. And I think, like, looking ahead at the rest of the season, whether that's in Ligue 1 or in the Champions League, this is the sort of mentality that we need. Not necessarily like to win it all, because like I think that takes more than that. But to be able to compete, this is simply like what we should be doing. And so like it's great to see us displaying this sort of mentality. And I think like hopefully, like we've been very inconsistent this season, so I'm not gonna like celebrate already and go back to the old like, oh, when are they gonna find the button and the team is gonna click and things are gonna be great. I don't think that's gonna be the case. So we'll see over the next few games if this kind of mentality stays and if it's confirmed. But yeah, this is really like, baseline what we want to see from this team, and baseline. And then I think like it shows, I think the impact of the better mentality really shows in terms of how we are on the pitch. Simply put, how we are on the pitch, I think we see a lot more runs. We see a lot of players like trying to find overlaps. We see players trying to combine. We see players trying to overload specific areas of the pitch. And that's how we create so many opportunities for ourselves against Le Havre. Which, in the end, like ending the game with 4xG, it's really, really solid. And honestly, having watched the game, yeah, it ends as 1-0, but it was a very enjoyable game of football to watch. I think, we start strong. We have a huge opportunity from Gvara on the corner kick on the second minute. We have a few other ones after this. Things kind of balance out for 5-10 minutes around the 20-30th minute. And then we score like on the 37th by Barcola. And we have like a couple of opportunities after this. In the second half, we dominate. They have one big opportunity, I think around the 50th, 60th minute. And then, like, towards the end, they really try to push and they create a little bit of mayhem, really at the tail end of the game. But before that, like, Doué has a penalty, Nuno Mendes misses a one-on-one that, like, I still can't believe he's missed. Mbaye misses one as well. Like, literally, like, we get opportunities after opportunities. And, overall, we're solid defensively for most of the game, like really solid defensively, like pleasantly surprised with that. Safonov makes the 2 saves that he needs to make, which I think look great on like I don't want to be an naysayer because like I know the goalkeeper conversation is super loaded. I think like the saves are great and like utterly like happy that he makes them, and I love the attitude and the fighting spirit. I do think they look a little bit better for the cameras than they actually are. I don't think they're as difficult as they look. From my experience of being a pro goalkeeper, as you all know. But anyway, it's great that he's making the save. That's what we're asking. So he makes the save. The defense has a good game in general. I think our midfield, like Vitinha, has a good game. And so, like, things click. Not everything is perfect, but things click. And I think overall, we have a dominant performance. We thoroughly deserve the win. We get the win. And yeah, happy days. Honestly, like, happy days. Simple as that. So let's talk about the negatives as well, because like I don't want to be accused of being too positive or like rosy-eyed or whatever. Yes, like the finishing is a problem. I'll set aside the penalty conversation because I think that's a separate one, and like we can talk about that after. I think in terms of finishing, it's very frustrating because I think a lot of time the teams that we're facing and their goalkeepers are having like the best game of their career against us. It's happened time and time again. We've had like Donovan in Auxerre. We've had like Liverpool last season. Like literally, it happens like one or two or three times a season where like an opposition keeper has the best game of their career against us. So that's annoying. I think in this case, Moridio, who's a very good goalkeeper and is like very well known in France, he's a really solid guy. He gets a very solid game, but it feels like sometimes our attackers are really like taking it a little bit easy, or at least like maybe like not trying as hard as they could. I know I've said it before because for me it's like sometimes it feels like they're not trying to hurt the net. I think if you really want to score a goal, you're gonna hit the ball like you want to punch a hole through the net. And I think our attackers sometimes like that's not really what they do. They do like the nice shot, the rounded shot, or like they take it that little bit easy. And I think sometimes like I wish they had a little bit more intent and a little bit more strength in what they do. it's funny because I think there's also like a lot of it is down to confidence. That's what Luis Enrique is saying after the end of the game as well. Is that they just need to score some goals to get the confidence back, and once you get the groove, like this sort of opportunity, instead of being stopped, they go in and like you do exactly the same thing. So it's really hard to blame the attackers too much for it. But yeah, like they need to find like, you know, when a player like doesn't play well for a while, typically we say like they need to really like just focus on the basic and learn the basics. And I think like, you know, I'm not expecting our attackers to like dribble past 5 guys. I'm not expecting them to like curve a shot into the opposite corner. I'm not expecting them to do like the overhead kick or anything like this. Just like when you are in a one-on-one with a keeper, like just like power a big shot like as close to the post as you can, and like they're gonna go in. They're gonna go in. So like just do that, and we'll move forward. And I think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen. Like it's the drawback of the forwards that we have is that a lot of our organization and a lot of our offensive stamina, it's predicated on the fact that our 3 offensive players can rotate, can be in whatever position, can play on the wings and in the middle and on both sides, can play as a false 9, can run behind the defense. Like they can do it all. But we don't have an Erling Haaland. We don't have like the traditional number 9 who's going to sit there and just like be tasked with scoring goals. The closest we've got is Gonzalo Ramos, but he's not impactful enough and consistent enough to be able to crack the starting 11. So this is what we've got. It's great because that's also like why last season we get to play such beautiful football, because we've got highly technical forwards, the 3 of them, who move a lot, who can combine a lot, who run a lot, who can do a lot of different things, who can play with both of their feet. But like none of them as finishing as one of their top 3 skills. Yeah, I mean, like, there's no perfect teams, there's no perfect player. We've got to accept that, I guess. Like, we can talk about it over the summer around whether, you know, we want to bring in a more traditional number 9, or whether there's like opportunities on the market of players with better credential when it comes to finishing. But this is what we've got, and I think ultimately, like, yeah, it's hard. Like, you can argue, but like, I think you can argue both sides. But yeah, ultimately, like right now, this is what we've got. On penalties, which is like the other part of this conversation. First, let me say, when I go on Twitter the day after the game, and the number one thing that people say is like, "Oh, PSG is dreadful with penalties," and you know, like they really need to figure out like who should take them. I feel like if this is our problem, we're in a good place. You know, I'm pretty happy when I see that on Twitter the day after a game. Like, we've won the game, we're 4 points clear once again. If our problem is that we're not scoring enough penalties, we're still winning our game and we're still like going forward in competitions, yeah, I'm okay with this. Like, honestly, I can live with that trouble. I'm fine with that. But yeah, yesterday Doué missed from the spot. Not great penalty. Was like not close enough to the post. The keeper dives very early and doesn't adjust. So like there's definitely things to be said around like the technicality of it all. I think at this point, like it's hard because we also have players injured. So Dembele would be like, you know, usually our top penalty taker is not here. Vitinha has been on and off. We've tried like players as well. I feel like now at this point, like I don't really care. Like I don't really care who takes them. I think like it's mostly a mental exercise anyway, because all of our players, and definitely the ones who have been taking penalties, so like Doué, Vitinha, Dembele, Gonzalo Ramos, Nuno Mendes, even Hakimi, like we've got a long list of players where we know like they can take penalties. They've done it in the past. They've had like decent results at it, so they can do it. It's about the mentality of it. And I think, now we're in a place where I truly believe like any of our players, when they step up to take a penalty, they're not fully confident in their ability to score it just because there's so much done around it. So I think, let's take like whoever is the strongest one, whoever feels better about it, whoever can like afford to miss and just keep going with this game, and yeah, run with that. And ultimately, like I said, like if that's the main problem that we have at this point, like I'm pretty happy with this, but like because it's gonna turn around as well. It's like it's one of those things where it's not quite 50-50, but like because if you go a good scorer, like it should be an 80-20 goal. We're at 50-50 right now, so we are underperforming. I think like we score the next 3 penalty in a row and we're back to a normal average. So like it's a tiny data set and thing where like there's a lot of luck, there's a lot of circumstances, and there's a lot of mentality attached to it. So yeah, I've seen a lot of like now Nuno Mendes should take them, or like I've even seen like Vara should take them. So I'll say it like Nuno Mendes like he's doing great when there's a penalty shootout, but he always shoots in the same place, and keepers know it at this point. So if he takes them during a game, he scores fantastic. If he misses, like, are we having the same conversation? Probably, because then if he misses one, like people are going to be saying yes, but that's because he always shoots in the same place anyway. Guevara, it's kind of funny because like he's never really like taken penalties that much. Like when he was in Napoli, Osimhen, even with the Georgian team, I mean, there's not a lot of penalties to be taken with the Georgia team, but yeah, like so can he? I honestly don't know. He certainly does have like he's a forward, so he knows how to shoot. He has a technique for it, but yeah, I really don't know. So anyway, I'll trust. Like, I think it's one of those things where like they must be shooting like dozens, if not hundreds, of them in training over the course of the training sessions that they have. I feel like the staff and the players would have all of the data at their disposal. They would know who's best at taking them. They would know who's best technically. They would know who's best mentally. They would know who's feeling best about it at any given point. So we can sit there and argue that like, oh, X player should take them instead of Y. I feel like we're never going to be able to come up with enough of a justification for it versus what the staff and the players can do. So I'll just leave it there. But yeah, like I hope we score the next few ones and we can kind of put that behind us, because I think it's like a little bit of a distraction of a problem. And I think like if I look at yesterday, I think like it's kind of annoying because I think like if Doué scores, we produce exactly the same game and like everything else stays the same. The commentary and the media that we get after it is completely different. And people go out saying like, oh, like PSG won 2-0, comfortable, 1 goal in first half, 1 goal in second half, bim bam boom, like easy done. Now they say like, oh, PSG like not finishing, not clinical, they scare themselves at the end, and yeah, changes the narrative more than it changes anything else. Quick one, because I'm running long on player performances, because there's a couple ones that are really interesting. Barcola as number 9 had a really good, solid, interesting game, scored a goal, created a lot of situation as well. I honestly really liked it. And I think, if you combine that with Kangin Lee on the right, it's really an interesting pairing, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not having thought of it before, because we know Barcola is strong with the headers. Kangin Lee is one of the best guys to cross the ball, and so it's a good pairing against like tight Ligue 1 defenses. Not that Le Havre was particularly tight, but like Kangin Lee cross, Barcola header. It feels like that could be a good like offensive solution sometimes. And so like, definitely deserves to be seen again. Barcola in the number 9 position. We know he's not the most clinical of finishers, but like he creates so much danger that you put him like right in front of goals. It feels a little bit like what we said about Dembele last season. It's like it's just the mayhem that he creates on the wing. If he can create it ahead in front of goal and be a little bit closer and a little bit clearer in his head when the time comes to finish, happy days. Like it could go on to like really, really impressive things. So at least for now that Dembele is not here, definitely something that we're seeing again. And then the second one that I wanted to talk about very quickly is Zabarny, who also had a really good game, who had a very good game last time he played, which was against Metz. I know they're both like, second half of the Ligue table teams, but yeah, positive performances from Zabarny. Solid defensively, good cover. The partnership with Pacho, I think, worked pretty well in this game. Obviously, they didn't have a whole lot to do either, but what they had to do, they did it well. There was a couple of times where Le Havre really tried to push offensively. Yeah, happy days. And like the opening that he's got like a crazy pass to Barcola on the Nuno Mendes opportunity in the second half, which is amazing. And like literally, like I'm not even sure Marquinhos could be doing this one. Probably could, but like hasn't been doing it for a while. So definitely a keep going for Zabarny. Would be worth seeing him like again, maybe against a slightly stronger team. I don't know if like Monaco, the next game that we have is a good one, or if Marquinhos will need the match fitness ahead of Chelsea. But yeah, really, really interesting. So good for him. If he can go back to a good enough level and just shut up some of the critics, I'm completely down for it, and I think it'd be a great one for us. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. I did like more than 20 minutes on a 1-0 win against Le Havre. I can't believe it. But yeah, we got everything in this game except more goals. But, I'll take the win. I'll take the 4-point leads. Happy days. We've got 6 days until our next Ligue game against Monaco. We've got 10 days before our next Champions League game against Chelsea in the park. Big games are coming. Big games are coming. And this month of March that is just starting, it's gonna tell us a lot about like where we're going as a team, and how this season could potentially go. So stay tuned. Let me know in the comment what you made of this game. Are you team happy or team we're not scoring enough? And as always, if you've made it this far, leave a like on the video. Really helps with the YouTube of it all. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the bell to get notified of future videos. And don't forget, even with no goals or with just 1 goal, ici c'est pareil!